So helping us answer that question, right? Like what's going to happen next? Do you buy? Do you sell? What do you do? Is joining us is Darren Etem. Thank you so much for being here. Darren is a real estate broker who specializes in residential properties all over the Southland.
Yes, and also with us is his better half and boss, Pam Etem. Pam, also real estate agent and investor, and she specializes in helping home buyers from all walks of life. Maybe some folks a little below that David Nazar level that we were looking at in both, just a tad, in both LA and Orange County.
Welcome.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Etem, my gosh, you have figured this out. You have rental properties, you're selling, I mean, you have a pulse as to what's happening out there. So let's ask you the same question that David, you just asked Mr. Syed. Is there going to be another crisis like we saw in 2007? I mean, should we buy? Do we sell? What do we do?
Lots of questions. Shall I take this?
Go for it.
No, there is not a bubble. It is a completely different dynamic this time than it was when we saw it previously in 2003, 4, 5, 6 as we were trending up, and then the bottom fell out in 2007. And then we unwound 2007, 2008, 2009. We started our uptick this time at 2011, but the dynamics have changed amazingly, specifically in financing. Back then, the trend, you did not have to have your down payment. We did 100% financing. It's different this time. Everything is structured, proved. We're getting 20% or more down on properties. They have skin in the game, so to speak. That is what makes this dynamic completely different this time. So this uptick is substantiated.
Okay, so there's less, there's not as much funny money right now, okay? Because I want to go through with both of you the things that argue against a bubble, that we're in a bubble. You just named one very important one. But I see some things that suggest maybe we are in a bubble. So what else? Is there anything else going on? For instance, supply. Usually, if you're in a bubble, you're getting a huge supply of homes that aren't selling. Are we seeing that right now?
Well, for us, I mean, we look at this market as if we were to buy. And we personally want to buy. We continue to buy properties. If we felt it was going to be a bubble, we wouldn't. Getting back to your question, it's interest rates are obviously tied into the aspect of purchasing and also demand is there. The amount of properties are not available. We are down 20% when it comes to available properties.
I've heard a lot of real estate people, or a lot of economists say that we need to have a lot more homes than we do. So that kind of argues for there's not enough supply, so that's going to make the prices go up. Okay.
Well, and also there's this affordable housing conversation. But what is affordable? Let's define that, because that's the operative word.
Affordable is relative to the area that you're in. So affordable in a beach community is not affordable in Bakersfield or in Las Vegas, Nevada. They are all relative. So we have to look at high value, high net worth areas, which are your Manhattans, your Bay Area, your Southern California. There's a lot of folks wanting to move here, and if our supply is down, our interest rates are down, we have more buyers than wanting to than we have available to purchase, that's going to bring the price up naturally.
Yeah, so David, I want to ask you on the affordability thing. How the heck do you afford living in Beverly Hills? That's what I want to know.
I think you always have it wrong. It's not Beverly Hills. I live on Beverly Glen, which is adjacent to Beverly Hills. You know, it's
I was trying to paint you with a broad brush.
You are. But I will say one thing. I am going to sort of disagree with our esteemed guests and play a little devil's advocate, because every economist and every realtor I have spoken with who wants to be honest and is not worried about their commissions are saying that we may not be in a bubble per se. Maybe that's the wrong way we're phrasing the question, but this market is definitely going to cool off. It cannot sustain itself within the next 12 to 18 months at the prices they are. So certainly now is not the time to buy, but in 12 to 18 months, you'll be able to buy a home that's much cheaper, yet you folks really don't want to admit that. And this is what I'm hearing as a reporter on the street. I'm not meaning to
You bring up an amazing point, and to address that, yes and no. Because when you look at what you have just said, most economists say that if we do have a cool-off period, it may be 10%. But maximum 10%. But what they also have to allude to, which are interest rates. So look at affordability. That is what you have to gear into. Today, if you were to buy a home at 4%, Okay, now let's look at it logically. If interest rates go up to 5 or even 6%, your affordability drops by a considerable amount of money. So just because housing prices drop or droop by 10%, if interest rates go up by 2%, your monthly payment is still more than you're buying it today.
Right. Unless you're a cash buyer, you have to pay attention to the interest rates. And if you're amortizing it over 30 years, it waters it down. So the higher interest rate creates a higher monthly payment.
Yeah. Well, that's
right. I was going to say, but that goes back to also. So let's talk about prices, right? We're talking about pricing.
Yeah.
Interesting. I talk about this often. You know, my friends. About 2 years ago, former Mayor Reardon, who I love dearly, we talked about real estate in Los Angeles, you know, South LA, and he talked about foreign money coming in and picking up properties, cash.
Yes.
How do you compete with that? How do you compete with that?
It's tough to do, but that also is another reasoning where we are in a world market. Years and years ago, to your point as well, David, we were looked at with our local community. Right. We would be the buyers. We have a world looking at our community now and purchasing us, to your point. 37%, I believe, is the figure of purchases are coming from foreign investors. That's huge.
Yeah, so that's your experience too?
Yes.
I mean, like a third of your buyers are foreign.
Yes. And other cultures are coming. It's not just one particular culture. We are seeing that.
So that's one of the things I wanted to raise with you because and to you know David mentioned how economists are telling him you know everything, but publicly the economists are all still rather positive that we've got 2 years to go at least before there's any problems, and that scares the heck out of me when all the economists are agreeing because you can look at almost any time the bubble hits, everybody says, "Oh, why didn't we see it coming?" So on the foreign buyers, this is what concerns me about that. It's not going to be funny money like it was last time. Every bubble's got a different reason that it went down. This time, I think one of the things I'm concerned about is that all this foreign money that's been coming in has been driving up the price. What if that goes away? And who's to say it won't stop at some point? In China now, they're clamping down on how much money people can move from China into the United States. Could that trigger the you know, could that be the thing that pops a bubble?
Unless it's a mass exodus and they completely all pull out at the same time, in our experience, they're investing to invest, and we have empty homes sitting. They've parked the money, they're paid for cash, and they're sitting as empty homes. So that dynamic's not going to change. The money is vested. They're not going to.
Empty homes always worry me. When I see empty homes, I think they're going to have a problem here.
Okay. However, that money is vested. They're not walking away from $2 million, $7 million, $9 million. That's not a wise investment. So they are now vested in our economy as well. The caveat that we didn't mention a moment ago about appraisals is, or to bring appraisals into it, is if someone's paying all cash, there is no safety net of an appraisal. So if the home's value on the street is $5 million and they're willing to pay $7 million, that is the new appraised value. So the bar gets raised.
Wow.
Okay, so for the everyman, not for the Beverly Hills folk, there is a safety net of an appraiser. An appraiser will look, they used to go back 6 months. Now they're going back 2 to 3, 4 maximum, because we're in an ever-changing market and we have limited inventory. They will go back further if they have to, because we don't have many sales, so it's more difficult to find a like-for-like comparable.
Is this putting you at ease? Are you
there's so much to look at, the dynamics, because you talk about these foreign investments, and one of the things that's very interesting is that for most of these foreign investments, the way they look at ownership of property is very different than the way most Americans do, and also the way millennials do.
Yes.
So you've got all these competing factors. I mean, let's also consider the fact that you said, let's say for Chinese investors, they generally hold on to this land.
Yes.
And it's for generations.
Yes.
So that price is not going to, the sale price isn't going to change. That means that if you buy something in that area, it will be at a higher, at a higher standard in terms of what you're looking at for prices. And also millennials are changing the name of the game a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to address, so I call it water in a pool. The water level goes up, it evaporates, the water level goes down. If you're not selling the pool, it doesn't matter if the water level is higher or lower. If you paid cash for the property, it sits. Okay, and if they are keeping it generational, that is also speaking to our limited inventory. So now we're taking homes that would have turned if it were only local buyers and locking it down. Now, we're land impacted. We have no open land to build like a Vegas, like in Arizona, where we can continue new subdivisions. So we have what we have, and we've already gone through the infill, a picture of it. And the infill picture was where we created new housing where there wasn't. Closing a school, buying the land, putting in multiple units, closing a strip mall, or making it a mixed commercial and residential, which is the new trend, because you can get infrastructure, you can get tax dollars, and you can get housing. So that's the new norm. We're also going vertical on all of our new construction, and the new construction is tending to be transient housing, apartments, not owner occupied. So that's worrisome, because that's all speaking again to inventory and also to infrastructure and bringing more people into the area that wish to purchase with limited resources to purchase.
Yeah, Darren, something you guys are doing a good job of knocking down my concern, but I'm still concerned. but let me bring up the other factor that I think suggests maybe we're in a bubble and we're headed for trouble, and that's affordability.
Yes.
And that if you look at how much of a person's paycheck has to either go into buying or paying for their mortgage or paying their rent, it's going higher and higher by historic standards, very high.
Yes.
And also, if you look at income to the price of a home, here in Southern California, I mean, there's a huge disconnect between what houses cost, what people make, and even in the Bay Area where they have such expensive housing, the people make a lot. They're making a lot in Silicon Valley, so that difference isn't as great. Here in Southern California, huge difference. Doesn't that suggest that maybe home prices are too high?
You know what? Too high? No. Will they decline? Yes. The big, I think, difference that you and I have.
A mouthful there.
Is, I think that the biggest difference that you and I are talking about is a bubble as opposed to a decline.
A softening.
We will see a softening. We're already starting to see a softening. We've seen
days on market are a little longer. Homes are doing price corrections, small price corrections, but they can't price above the last sale. They're coming back down. So bubble, no. Softening, more reality, what the market will bear, yes.
Right. And plus, if you guys go worldwide, we are so inexpensive here. Even in these markets of Los Angeles, Orange County, when you go across the world and look in London, Hong Kong, and look at the pricing, you can get a 2-bedroom flat in London on leased land, and they're what do we see? 2.1.
There was one for 2.2, one for 2.8 on lease land.
Pounds, and that's pounds.
No parking, subterranean, built at the turn of the century.
So
I'm worried about parking too.
To your point, those people are coming over, they're looking at us. Now we're on the internet, they're going, I can go to Surf City, Huntington Beach, and I can buy this property for $1,200,000. Sign me up.
So how does that impact the people who work here? They're middle class or working class, and they want a home because granted, you just saw David's report. That's an international market. The coast, all along our coast, Orange County and LA County, that's an international market, and they're appealing to people from around the world. Start moving further inland to the Inland Empire or even other parts. And how is that impacting? How's that impacting people that want to buy home? Average people that want to buy a home.
Okay, a couple of things, a mouthful you just asked. Okay, so one is affordable housing. How are we going to solve this problem? So the municipalities are creating affordable housing in the form of apartments, and certain percentages of those are at a lower income level. Any new developments that occur, a certain percentage has to be at affordable. Now, affordable is relative. Elizabeth and I spoke about this. If they're selling for $900,000, affordable would be a $600,000.
That's not
not necessarily affordable, but in the grand spectrum of that community, that is considered affordable. So they're doing their best to chase their tail. It's not. We don't have open land to create that. So we are losing jobs. We are losing high-paid jobs. We are losing people from the coastal communities inland. Hence the growth in San Bernardino County and Riverside County.
You mean people are moving there
because it's more, they can buy more home, but they're spending that time in their cars making up for
there's
that
a sacrifice. So I have to ask you the $1 million question, of course. This is just your opinion. I get
Could
this.
be $7 million.
I got a son Rick here. I got to get him on board here.
That's right. David, you
still hold it fast.
You can give us your opinion too. So if you're sitting at home, you're watching this show, and you're saying, "But I just need to know: do I buy that house or not? It's not the dream home I want. Either a condo in the city or that house in San Bernardino." Of course, it depends on your needs. I get that, but what do you think would be the smartest investment or the thing to do, or do you not purchase and wait another 2 years, a year?
What we tell our kids: save your money. Keep your credit score in excellent position, as high as you possibly can. Use your credit like a loaded gun, very wisely, very appropriately, and wait, okay? Things come up. If you're paying attention, our buyers we have on updates, they're familiar with the areas that they're searching. They know when something is a good area that's priced under, or something that's been overpriced and is sitting on the market. So what I encourage everyone to do if they're considering that is to be brave, educate themselves, become comfortable with the process, and align themselves with someone who's educated, someone who has experience, someone who's in the, we call it in the trenches with the spoon, that sees trends, that may hear of something that's not on the market yet, or may be coming on the market, or something that has the potential to be something great.
Sounds like wait.
Yes.
No, and see, I heard you say wait. Now,
be patient in finding the right home.
But what we're telling our own son is we are telling him to save every dime, but we're telling him to buy. Don't live in it. Find something to buy. She uses this analogy all the time that we tell our clients. You can sit here and watch this merry-go-round keep going by, but you need to get on a horse at some point. We're telling our son, buy a horse, to maybe don't even live in it, but at least you're in the game. You'll start going to the pursuit.
So David, what's your advice?
Best advice, stay where you are for the next 12 to 20 months and then buy. That's the best advice, trust me.
Wow, listen, look at that. Reporter turned real estate pro. I love it. All the time that we have for now. I'd be careful with that last piece.
I've never heard him sound so authoritative. Yes, sir, and thank you to Pam, Etem, Darren, Etem, and the very smart David Nazar.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Etem.